Well, Sprocket Talk viewers and listeners, I gotta be honest, I'm excited for you because we're gonna talk about HubSpot, we're gonna talk about PandaDoc, and we're gonna talk about HubDo, and all the things that you can do when you have them aligned. Hey, you know what time it is.
Are you a HubSpot user looking for fun and interactive education that helps you be better at HubSpot? Then welcome to Sprocket Talk.
Brilliant. Thanks, George. Yeah, it's great to be on Sprocket Talk. So Pete Nichols, I'm the founder of HubDo. HubDo is an agency for agencies. We started originally as a HubSpot partner with end users, but as of 2015, wanted to completely focus on supporting a partner ecosystem. That's kind of my background. I was with Cisco for around 16 years, and that was all about the channel. So that's what we do. We support agencies, and a lot of those are HubSpot partners.
I love it, Pete. So what I want to dive in today, which has always fascinated me, and so I'm glad we're getting to have this conversation, is I want to talk about a piece of software that's out there in the world that I think some people know about, but a lot of people don't know about. And even the people that know about it might not know the value that it can give to their business. And that is PandaDoc. So again, kind of starting at ground level for people who may be watching this and haven't heard of it or don't know exactly what it is or what you can do with it. Why don't you start out by explaining what is PandaDoc and how would they use it to impact their business?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so PandaDoc is proposal software. Some years back, it was known more as Quote Roller. And yeah, as agencies, we do a lot of proposals. I hate doing proposals, and I know a lot of agencies who you'd rather reorganize your sock drawer than put a proposal together. But you know that when the time comes, you want to put something together that's really professional, really slick, and has embedded video is really important now too. A lot of agencies use Google Docs, use Proposify. Yeah, there's a few tools. PandaDoc is the only sales add-on to HubSpot that's in the top 20 of add-on apps to the HubSpot platform. So it kind of makes sense that a HubSpot partner would at least know what PandaDoc is. So what we've been doing with PandaDoc as a company to make things easier for agencies is to get a discounted version of PandaDoc. So that's kind of why HubDo, particularly over the last 6 months, we've become really close to PandaDoc as a company, and they love that we're supporting smaller agencies using that tool.
So I love it, and there's two things that I want to pull out of that little section. One, Pete mentioned HubSpot user or HubSpot agency, and then also Pete mentioned video yep. in your proposals. And we're going to talk about some of the things that Pete thinks is amazing with PandaDocs later on in this interview, so make sure you stick around for that. But Pete, I want to really go into us as humans, we love things that save us time. And so maybe talk about the velocity of proposal creation and the saving of time by using PandaDoc and HubSpot together.
Yeah, the time saving is a huge one. That's where we started in using PandaDoc, because if there's any nature of the business where you're sending out something that is kind of 80% similar from one customer to the next, and you still want to heavily customize it, but you can start with a template. In our case, I know it saves me a ton of time. I can put out a proposal that previously would have taken me maybe an hour or two at least to put together, and I can now do that within click, a few seconds, literally, because it's connected to my HubSpot CRM. So it takes the data from my CRM. It avoids me using my fat fingers to go and mistype people's names and things, which I hate doing that. It takes the data from the CRM, puts it through the document, and then I can focus on what's different about what this client needs and then send that off. So that saves me a ton of time. The agencies that we've helped with the PandaDoc software, I know Rich, for example, in Melbourne, he's telling me it takes him about 20% of the time now that it used to take to do a proposal. So he can get back to his client a lot faster, and we're all short on time. So just any tool that saves a lot of time like that, I think is worth having a look at.
Yeah, so if you're the type of professional that likes to save time, then PandaDoc might be right for you. And of course, if you're looking at PandaDoc, you want to look at HubDo and definitely get Pete and their team to help you with that. But Pete, I want to kind of step back a little bit and talk about PandaDoc and really dive into your brain. And because you mentioned the word that sparks this question, by the way, viewers and listeners, is Pete mentioned templates. And so Pete, if you can maybe highlight 2 or 3 elements or pieces of the PandaDoc tool that you're just like, oh man, that's the best thing ever, so that the viewers and listeners can get kind of some insight into what they would have at their fingertips?
Yeah, well, I think so. Templates, I know that's one of the biggest lead conversion tools that HubSpot themselves use, is that say, hey, templates. Everybody wants more templates. PandaDoc have got, I think at last count, is around 500 or 600 of the example templates that you can just download and add in. So that goes across different industries. That's a good starting point to have a document that gets you partway there. That's where you're using a template as a whole document. What I love using even more is a content library. Content library is like slices of a template. So I start with a template of the document, but then in my content library, I've got templates of video that I want to drag in, or customer testimonials that I want to drag in, or descriptions of how to solve a particular problem. Those are sitting in the library, and I know I can drag those into the template. That makes each document still really custom for the customer, but takes me no time to just drag in what's the most appropriate thing for that particular instance.
I hope everybody was paying attention to that part. Like, modular, but being able to be customized and personalized. I love that about PandaDoc. Now, Pete, when anybody picks up a new piece of software, there's always this learning curve. Talk to me about the ability to learn PandaDoc quickly, maybe some resources that are out there, how you guys are helping. Just talk the viewers and listeners through that part of it.
Yeah, that is a part of the learning curve, I think, with it, George, because if you're used to Word or just Google Docs, where it's kind of just a word processor construct, that's really flexible. But when you want to get things together really quickly and make sure that the formatting is clean and is on brand, is using all the right colors and fonts and so forth, what we do to help speed this up for agencies when they take this tool and use it in-house, and also providing it to end users, is to take a style guide template. That means that you don't have to learn all the intricacies of the creation and management of fonts and placement. You kind of lean on the web skills. So PandaDoc has two different editors in there. We particularly like the Css Editor, because if you're comfortable in designing websites, you can then make a document that kind of looks like the website, carries the brand through. And that means there's a learning curve. If you drag a testimonial or anything like that into a document that already has that theme applied, it will automatically stylize it for you. I see a lot of time wasted resizing images and so forth in tools that let you do that. But I think each time that I've taken through, like I spent some time with an agency in Australia on a call last week, and we shortcut the process of how they're doing their proposals today. And she was like, wow, well, actually, this is just going to save me a ton of time now. A little bit of knowledge goes a long way. I'd say give yourself a good hour to familiarize with the tool. George, their help pages at PandaDoc are really good for that. And then we also have design videos and set up videos that we're using to try to take the pain out of just getting up and running and then get the time saved.
HubDo, taking the pain out of getting going. I love that. That's a tagline right there, Sprocket Talk viewers and listeners. You know, it's fun, Pete, because what I heard in that section is you can keep it super simple or you can get really nerdy. It just depends on the level in which you want to use the tool. And I love tools that allow for that flexibility, especially for the sales, marketing, business proposal, things that you need to do and use PandaDoc for. Now, I do want to dive into, because we are at Sprocket Talk, we're speaking to HubSpot users, right? And so I want to talk about the integration between HubSpot and PandaDoc. Pete, maybe talk about why it's good in PandaDoc, what you can see in HubSpot, how easy it is to integrate. It's kind of the mixed bag of what you see people maybe leaning into as they're getting ready to integrate the two together.
Actually, that's where there are a lot of tools that you can plug into HubSpot, clearly. And just in this document creation space alone, there's quite a few. Generally, it involves going and getting like an API key and pasting it into the right place. I like the fact, so with PandaDoc, if you have that license and you've got HubSpot, you just go and switch on the integration. If you're already logged into your HubSpot, you just click and it joins up to your HubSpot ID. What that means straight away from that connection is that it plugs into three main parts of your HubSpot CRM. So it means that on a contact record, so if I bring up your record, George, I can create a PandaDoc and just send it to you personally on there without any deal or any other component. I can bring up the company and anybody who's attached to that company. Again, I can send a document to them and include the properties. So the details that are there in the properties on HubSpot for the company and for the contact, they can populate in. And then the most common use, the most popular use of PandaDoc is on a deal record in HubSpot CRM. Now, this doesn't matter if you're on the free version, starter, pro, or enterprise. Any level of HubSpot integrates with PandaDoc. So you're on a deal and you get to the deal stage where I need to send a document. So it might be a proposal, but it could be an NDA. It could be a contract. It could be that you're hiring a staff member and you want to send an HR document that they're going to fill out. So you're just on the person record or the deal record and you click Create PandaDoc. It then presents you with what template do you want to use. So you choose that and then it populates from the CRM brings up that document with all the names and things in the right places. And then you just start editing before you hit send. So that's usually how people would use it. I love that you don't have to go over to PandaDoc and you start messing about. You just stay in the CRM, click there, and it comes up in a modal pop-up window over the top of the CRM screen. For sales guys, it just stops them getting lost in other tools.
You know, Pete, my mind kind of went sideways for a second in that last section, and so I want to dig in a little bit deeper. We've positioned this as a proposal software for the most beginning part of this interview, but you started listing out other documents that you could actually create here, and I was like, well, it almost seems like any document that you would need signed, or maybe not even signed. And so, Pete, maybe dive into like what are some of the most useful documents you use personally through PandaDoc, or you've seen other companies that you're helping at HubDo use inside of PandaDoc?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So a few examples would be earlier in the sales process. Sometimes you just want to send a document through to a client to read. Today, often we would attach like a PDF file or link to a web page. And that's okay. You kind of lose sight of what happens with that. So what I like using, I've got a few templates where they're just informational. They're the same as you would use a PDF for, but there's a lot of embedded video. So I bring that document up, just send it straight out of the CRM. So it'll personalize it where it needs to, but the videos are already in that document. Maybe I'll drag a couple of others in before I send it. Once that's gone, instead of me being blind to what the receiver does with that, I can see, first of all, PandaDoc alerts me when they open it. And then I can have a look to see what pages they've looked at. They might be spending a lot of time on page 3, and there's maybe some videos in there around security or e-signatures. And I know that they're spending more time looking at that. So that's one. That's like a pre-sales visibility. Sure, in the sales process, send off a proposal, send off a contract. And then say Sarah Goodall at Tribal Impact, which is a company on the South Coast here in the UK. They use PandaDoc for a lot of things, including all of the hiring. The company's really growing fast. So they're putting all the HR documents through PandaDoc as well. It's like, well, why wouldn't we? Because it just covers all those bases.
So Pete, man, first of all, I leaned into one question only to have another question, or maybe it's not a question but a statement. Sprocket Talk viewers, listeners, I want you to rewind this section because Pete was talking about having insights to the documents that you're sending. And if you're sitting here watching this and you don't have insights to the documents after you send them, PDFs, proposals, whatever it is, like even your HR, like everything that Pete just talked about, then this is a good solution for you. Pete, I want to rein it back in. I want to talk about proposals for a second because that's where we kind of got started and what PandaDoc is really known for. And I'm wondering if you have 1, 2, maybe even 3 tips that you would share with the Sprocket Talk viewers of either just proposal tips in general or proposal tips inside of PandaDoc. What words of wisdom would you have for the community?
You've heard a lot about video. I still see folks rarely putting video into what they're sending. It's one thing to paste in a thumbnail of a video, but when the person clicks on it, it takes them off to some other viewing page. So use a tool that lets you put video in the document, just keeps the user focused on what you've sent them. The second thing is, what's the right length of a proposal? I mean, I don't know, George, pick a number. How many pages should a proposal be? What do you reckon?
Oh my gosh, like I maybe 3, maybe 7. I have no clue, to be honest with you.
It's only the kind of the law of large numbers, if you like, because PandaDoc, I think it's in close to 20,000 businesses. So there's a lot more users than that they get to see the data of which documents tend to close. So with proposals, they can see just through their data dashboards that 7 to 8 pages is the sweet spot. They're the documents that tend to close. And on closing, what's a little bizarre is what day proposals close best. They close best on a Friday. Send your proposals on a Friday. Statistically, you've got almost a 30% higher probability of that document closing than on a Wednesday or a Thursday, which is weird. But maybe that's when people have got time to sit with a beer and actually read that thing.
That is interesting. And by the way, I said 7, so whew, I got lucky. I said 3 before that, which I was way off.
I didn't even prompt you that.
Yeah. But the fact of Friday, like that is 7 pages and on Fridays. What will be interesting, Sprocket Talk viewers and listeners, dead serious. You watch this, you start using PandaDoc, you try 7 pages and on Friday, you need to hit us up at sprockettalk.com and let us know the increase in your actual proposals being closed. I'm just a numbers guy. I'm geeking out right now. But here's what I want to do, because Pete, you have done a lot of work in this interview of explaining what PandaDoc is, why you think PandaDoc is amazing, how PandaDoc can save time, how it integrates with HubSpot. I really want to give you some time to just talk about HubDo, the relationship with PandaDoc, why people who are watching this, instead of just going straight to PandaDoc, should come to you, should start the conversation with you about being a PandaDoc user. Like, why? What value are you just ready to give the world when it comes to this project?
Because we're not PandaDoc, right? We're here for particularly helping agencies and helping those agencies help end users of HubSpot be really successful with it. So the reason that we got involved with PandaDoc years ago, and then particularly in the last year of how we've been helping companies out with it, is that we've been able to create a special license of PandaDoc that end users can buy. They generally would buy that through their agency. So talking to HubDo about these seats, the way that they're different, George, from just going and buying PandaDoc. I mean, PandaDoc have a great team. You can engage with them directly. The version that you buy from them directly is for a company to use themselves. When you're collaborating with an agency, often you want the agency to be helping you out with it. So maybe creating the templates, putting them on brand, really shortcutting how the end user gets up and running quickly with that. So the versions that we have allow the agency to have access to the customer's PandaDoc for as long as they want that to be the case, to publish templates in there. We've got shared folders, so you can push templates across into the client's workspace. If a client needs a hand, agency can log in. The normal version for customers who have the straight off the shelf version from PandaDoc, they either have to give their password to the agency to let the agency in, or need to buy an extra seat for the agency, which kind of doesn't make sense when all you want to do is connect those together. Last point from the agency point of view, George, as well, if you're an agency, you do not want to be using customers' login to log in to customer A, and then coming out of that and they're logging into customer B, and hang on, which one am I logged into right now? Oh, I need to send something. I got to log out of the customers and log into my own PandaDoc. That's crazy. So the version that we've got is designed to operate like HubSpot does. So you just step into that customer's portal, step out, step into the other customer, and step back to your own. That's the main difference. It's full-blown PandaDoc, same as you'd buy direct, but this version is designed for agencies and companies to work together.
Again, streamlining your process, saving time, everything that all of us, should be looking for. Pete, are there any other words of wisdom around PandaDoc, around HubSpot, around HubDo that you want to share with the community before we close this interview out?
I think friction comes to mind, George, as a final point, because the inbuilt integration of using the HubSpot CRM with PandaDoc, that's really slick, right? You can send things out real quick. But automation is what takes the friction out of this. So you send the document really easy, but you can then easily set up further automation so that when that document's complete, I really like having HubSpot set up, and we use Zapier to do this. There's a setup guide on automating that. So when the customer has completed the document, you can have the deal in HubSpot automatically move on to the next stage. And George, you can do deal automation off the back of that. So you can have HubSpot do a bunch of things because the deal has moved to the next stage, and that happens with no human hands on it. If the customer has paid on the PandaDoc, because it can collect the payment as well, like full amount or deposit, that you can move the deal onto another stage of paid and closed. And so, automate ringing a deal bell if you like. So automation, I think you get to know the tool first, but then just automate the wazoo out of that, because that's just a beautiful thing. When you see this take care of itself, you can push the envelope so it even sends the proposal automatically as well. But that's getting into freaky territory. But you can have proposals going out with your name on them while you're asleep, and that's just weird.
Don't be afraid of freaky territory, though. Here's the thing: get up to speed, and then get ready to take your proposals and documents to the next level. Pete, I want to thank you for taking time to do this interview with us, and I do want to give you the opportunity to let the Sprocket Talk viewers know, where should they go? How can they reach out to you if they have questions about HubSpot, PandaDoc, the automation process, taking their document sharing to the next level? Where would you like to send them?
Well, there's only one place really that talks about this special version of HubSpot, which is of PandaDoc, for HubSpot partners. And that's on the HubDo website. If you go to www.hubdo.com, that's HUBDO.com, and on our software menu, which is HubDo Cloud, so all of our software is on HubDo Cloud there, that you'll see menu items that relate to PandaDoc. So if you're an agency, you can go straight to PandaDoc for HubSpot partners, fill out the inquiry form, and we can talk about whether it suits maybe upgrading the version that you've got. We do a lot of that, or just trying out a trial. If you're an end user of HubSpot, feel free to reach out to us anyhow. We're glad to talk to you about whether this might fit. And then any agency that you're working with, that means that we can get them plugged into your version if you decided to use this tool as well. HubDo.com is a place to go.
HubSpot agencies, HubSpot users, if you got documents, if you want to send them, if you want to see visibility, then make sure you talk to Pete. Thanks, Pete. Sprocket Talk viewers and listeners, was that interview not amazing? There are so many nuggets along the way. Pete Nichols from HubDo is totally passionate about HubSpot, PandaDoc, and helping users and agencies streamline their process. Make sure you reach out to Pete Nichols at HubDo with any help or questions. And of course, as you continue on with your day, make sure you're doing some happy HubSpotting.